Happy New Year, Feliz Año Nuevo to everybody in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. Welcome to the first edition of what we need to be the best damn year we've seen in a long time, at least better than that last one. But welcome to another edition of Living on Music. I'm Steve Houk, and again, Happy New Year to you all. We have had an incredible run here, and again, amidst all the kind of worry and concern and depression and everything that everybody's been going through, there is joy. And one of the great joys of my life has been to be able to do Living on Music and with so many amazing musicians. If you look behind me, you see the 8x10 Club in Baltimore, one of the legendary clubs up in Bmore that my guest tonight, Mr. Daryl Jr. Cline, played many, many times as in his younger days playing and also through his career. And they are also hurting. Obviously haven't been booked in months, and hopefully we'll get some support from Save Our Stages. But my guest tonight is an institution around here, and I say that a lot with a lot of my guests because they all are. And this gentleman is no exception. Daryl Jr. Cline has played with at least 10 or 15 of my guests on a regular basis, had a number of them in his Daryl Jr. Cline and The Recliners band, which has been going for 40 years, playing all over this part of the country and with such incredible people. But Daryl is a really amazing story, incredible story in terms of the evolution of his band and the musicians that he's played with around here. So stay tuned for my wonderful conversation with Daryl Jr. Cline coming right up. Real quick, Living on Music page here on Facebook. It's where you got to go. If you hit follow, that'll give you a chance to see all of our upcoming episodes. And also, you can see all of the past episodes. They're right in front of you. If you go to that page, you can go down and watch as much of any episode as you have. And boy, it has just been an incredible ride, and it's not stopping. We've got some incredible people coming up over the next few months as well. But you really get a chance to kind of see what we've done with this show over the last 10 months, and it's evolved. So I want to have some of my musicians who were on in the beginning, like Scott Kurt and the Sidleys and people like Steph Paines from Led Zeppelin, and who were really experimenting with us in the virtual world. And we had some interesting, bounces and runs there. But everybody's been so magnificently patient. I really appreciate it. And that's why this also calls for a big thank you to everybody who has been associated with Living on Music in 2020. Again, 2020 is going to have a label on it, but there is also joy. I mean, I had my daughter's high school graduation was there, my son's first job, I'm Living on Music. My partner Suzanne is going to be a grandmother in another month after having two babies born around the same year, one in 2020 and one in 2021. So there is joy to be found, and Living on Music is one of them. One of those joys. And thank you to all of the people that have been involved, especially David McClure, who really got this show going again at the beginning, was the instrumental gas in the engine, as I've said, for ZTV. And I wouldn't be sitting here doing this show now without him. Laney Delaney, who's jumped on board over the last couple of months and has really been an incredible collaborator with me and made this show really shine even more. Mary Wadland, who's kept things going, and all of the musicians that have been on the show. I can't thank you enough also for your wonderful accolades and kudos for this show, and that it's helped a lot of you get through, which almost brings me to tears, that we've been able to help people kind of get through this on one level or the other. And I just love every minute of it. So thank you so much. Real quick plug for an amazing musician that I'm hoping to have on Living on Music in 2021. He's been very, very busy as a venue owner and musician. That is a double whammy for 2020. So Luke Brindley, hopefully we're going to have him on in 2021 to talk about his amazing music career. But recently, American Songwriter Magazine named two of Luke's new records in their top 12 indie albums of 2020. Now that is a joy of 2020 for sure, that I'm sure Luke is feeling. Those two records, the first one is called The Devil's Drum, just some wonderful music from Luke, like all of his singer-songwriter, wonderful writing and playing is, and another album called Thin Space. Again, another wonderful collection of music by Luke, and very, very cool to be able to come out of this, pandemic with an accolade like that. So hopefully, again, Luke, who along with his brothers runs Jam and Java and Union Stage and among others, and that's an incredible thing that they're going through right now. Two of the best clubs in this area being hit again so hard. So we're hoping that Luke and his family get through the theater part of this, the venue part, but his music is churning on, and we hope to have Luke on. And congratulations, Luke, on those great awards. Well, the harmonious, collaborative, familial, and there's tons of adjectives, music community in the DC area is personified by so many of my guests over the last 10 months here on Living on Music, but perhaps none more than my very special guest tonight, Daryl Jr. Cline. He has played with the likes of Tommy Lepson, a lot with Tommy, a lot with Bill Starks. Even Ron Holloway pops up in his list, my buddy on sax. Even to the amazing David Sless, part of the Newmeyer Flyer Bandhouse gigs, has played in the Recliners, his band, and duoed with Patty Reese. Has played with Ronnie Newmeyer and Chuck Sullivan in the Recliners, as well as both Newmeyer Flyer and Bandhouse gigs, alongside so many of the region's greats just like him. Seth Keibel, who was on my show about a month ago, had a Recliners run that he couldn't stop talking about how fun that was. And he said, again, it was, quote, one of the most fun times ever that he's ever had playing. And he's had a pretty illustrious career as well. And Chuck Sullivan, illustrious Chuck from Bandhouse gigs and also a great career himself, called Daryl a trip. He said, because I mentioned Daryl and we were talking about him on my show with Chuck, and he said, Daryl's a trip. I've known him for so long. What an amazing guy. You mix together the soul of the blues, some sweet horns, combined with this signature performance style that has passionate singing and kind of soulful, belted out soulful compositions, and just going from R&B to other kinds of genres. It's a distinctive style, and it's helped Daryl Jr. Cline become one of the Mid-Atlantic region's easily most popular and enduring musicians. And as the lead man for Junior Cline and the Recliners, who have been entertaining audiences for decades now, including 12 consecutive years at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. And we are recording this on New Year's Eve, so this would be a night where he probably wouldn't be available. He'd be up in the city getting ready for the big gig in Times Square, but that'll happen again, I am sure. Hopefully next year he can get back out there. Shared the stage with the likes of, I mean, the list is pretty unbelievable. Bo Diddley, Sam and Dave, Junior Walker, Tina Turner, Wilson Pickett, Muddy Waters. I mean, it goes on and on. We'll talk about some of those experiences that he's had. In fact, the Recliners achieved the musical status and were invited to perform at the White House. There was a little kind of hitch in the giddy up for that because of a horrible rainstorm on Pennsylvania Avenue. So he ended up hanging out with the Muscle Shoals Swampers. So that's not a terrible thing. Has also earned multiple Wammys, and that's very exciting, of course, for anybody who's a Washington area musician. As it says in a number of places in Daryl's kind of swath of presentations and marketing, you take a breeze from the mountains of West Virginia, add a memory to the streets of Memphis. Maybe you mix in the soul of the blues, a sweet sense of brass, combined with a God-given, and I mean it after researching this guy for the last number of weeks, a God-given set of pipes. You simmer in a couple decades flavor of country roadhouses, maybe some city dance halls, and you've got the delicious sound of a true American roots musician. And what an honor. I've been wanting to talk to Daryl for months since I started the show, and here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Daryl Jr. Cline. What is up, Daryl, and welcome.
Thank you, Steve, so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's so great to have you here. Your name, as I said, has come up countless times. Your ears must have been burning in your house, because there was just so many wonderful comments about working with you over the years, and what an amazing group of musicians. And I think that's probably been something that you guys can kind of take to heart too as we go through this craziness over the last year. How have you been doing? Musically, I hope someday I don't have to ask this question to any of my guests, but it's been a time and a challenge for musicians. How have you been doing during this last 10 months?
I've been doing exceptionally well because I take a look around and realize how blessed I am. to be where I'm at. It's unfortunate for everyone. I wish I could reach out and do something. You know, it's that hopeless thing. But basically, prior to this happening, I was doing exactly what I'm doing today. I'm sort of woodshedding at home, writing every day, playing, trying to get better on the piano and the guitar, and just, you know, hanging with my wife Teresa, and occasionally seeing a few friends, seeing my sons, and basically enjoying the country. We're surrounded by a wonderful array of woods, trees, birds, and animals. So I feel pretty blessed, to be honest with you. I wish I could help in the situation that's taken place, but it's one of those things where you just have to hang in like everybody's doing and hope for the best.
Yeah, I know one thing that seems to affect most of the folks I've had on, and again, so many of your close musical colleagues have been an honor to talk to. Is the missing each other? You know, missing your recliners or your Wranglers or your other bands around here. How's that been getting through to you?
Well, you know, I do speak to a few of them, you know, because there's, you know, trying times for everyone, and they seem to be doing okay. I'm not taking work, you know. I mean, I'll get a call for an engagement, and I'm just like, not cool. You know, if it was just me, I'd do it. You know, I'm that kind of way. But to involve, you know, bringing in band members and exposing them, and even with the safety regulations and people are social distancing, and you know, the club scene is. I want to help, but you know, on the other hand, I just feel like this is the safe thing for me to do for myself, my wife, and my kids, and my family and friends. Stay home and pray that this passes. It's just it's insane. I have, you know, declined work because I feel like it's the right thing to do. If I thought that I would be helping in some way, I'd be out there on the front. But I feel like it'd just be complicating things even more to, you know, have me come out and try to, you know, keep it rolling, as it were. There's some great club people, and there's some great, you know, just recliner fans in general. Some of these people are trying to re-up their marriages after 20 years, and we you know, we weren't per se a wedding band, but we certainly have done our fair share. And I've received a couple calls like, we're doing our 25-year anniversary, and we got to have the recliners. And I'm like, I know. When are you planning this? All said and done, it's an honor to have people still want this kind of music, the horn music. But until we put this thing at rest, I'm just going to stay right where I've been for a while. And you know,
yeah, that's great, Daryl. That's a neat position, and you're not alone. There's been in fact, a number of people have said, "Look, I'll do your show next year when I'm ready to do it." You know, and I can't wait to talk to them. What I think many of the Recliner fans and Daryl fans would love to hear is you and your voice and your guitar. How about doing something for us as we kick off the show a little bit? Just anything to get that live music feel back for your fans and friends and me. What are you gonna roll for us?
Well, it seems you and I have talked a little bit about this project called Oaks in the Mist, and since it has not been dealt with for so long a period, I actually put it away. I wrote a song, which is where the idea of having a band called Oaks in the Mist came from, and so I thought I'd try to attempt to play that. Trees stand so tall and bare, creeks run quietly to nowhere. Well, the sky is so vast and blue, and all I can do is think about you. Oh, somebody from the rain, morning air through the sound of the train. Watch people as they're passing through, and all I can do think about you. If I could have only held you one last time. Oh, if I could have only had one last kiss. But now I stand alone, like an open mist. Now off to some foreign land, fight for our fellow man. I sent a letter home today, and all I can do is pray. Brothers against brothers, boys against men, fighting for their belief, and all I can do is pray. I'm feeling kind of lonely. I miss my one and only. What more can I say? And all I can do is pray. If I could have only held you one last time. If I could have only had one last kiss. But now I stand alone, like an open mist. Oh, I stand alone, like an open mist. And I stand alone, like an open mist. Let me do it one more time. I'm kidding. You know, it reminds me of the Jack Nicholson movie I watched last night, where he's going to kiss the girl at the end, and he kisses her, and he says, "Let me do it one more time. I know I can do better." But in any event, that's a song I wrote, wow, maybe 8 years ago. Recorded it, never did anything with it. So,
yeah, that's beautiful. Tell me where that song came from, Daryl.
that song came from, well, I actually started thinking about my home down in the Appalachians, and I started thinking about my memory back from my childhood days. And then I actually, unbeknownst to many, I like painting and sketching. And one day, years 5 or 6 years ago, I was just had this image of just a single oak tree in the mist. So I painted it. And the more I looked at the painting, the more I started thinking about my home and my youth. And so those words evolved. And I was thinking about how a guy, would, have this love and all of a sudden be sent. As my two of my sons were in the service. One was in Desert Storm time, and one just got out of the Navy a year and a half ago. Served, 6 years, and I just thought about how they would feel. How are my boys feeling when, I sent a letter home today, and there's really much, detachment, which is sort of what we're feeling today. We have to deal with our loneliness alone, and sometimes we can't really get that across to people. The only way we can do that is to send a letter. So I sort of kind of evolved it all about creeks and roads and rain and trees and love, and ended up with Oaks in the Mist. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. God, what a perfect song to sing. And actually, nice segue. We're gonna go. We're gonna start going down the journey of Daryl Cline right now. Born in West Virginia. I know that early on, bluegrass, country music, that was kind of part of your vernacular, right? And so you were being fed that music, and then about 12 years old, you kicked in to started playing. But how did that all come about? Was that music that was played by family and things like that?
Yeah. So around the time when a young person starts to realize his environment, uh, because there were days in my family, uh, in the mountains, that my grandfather didn't believe in people landing on the moon, let alone playing guitar in the house. I came from a Free Will Baptist background, and preachers, and so somehow it just he eased into it. My grandmother was always saying, "Julius, you got to let the voice play music." And finally, he did. And his sons, my grandmother was my life. My mother passed when I was very young, and she sort of raised me along with a few other people. But she was my heart and soul. She convinced her husband, Julius Cline, to allow music. And what they would do is on Sundays, and when there was a holiday, they would all get the guitars out and they play bluegrass. That was
Oh,
it. And it was just, oh wow, there's just so many influences. Bluegrass. I love bluegrass. I listen
right.
on Sundays, and so that's sort of how it became a part of my earlier days. And they would teach me a few chords, but I was a little bit too young to grasp it. So.
Right. It's interesting that that as you began to get your taste of music kind of set, and it certainly has a kind of a center with a lot of things that you've done around it, but that wonderful R&B, wonderful soul kind of feel that you didn't kind of go down a bluegrass route. Where did you jump in to start playing? I think it was around 12, right? And was that what kind of music were you playing at that age?
Well, I was hanging out with the people that were musicians. And they were turning me on to people like the Ventures, Pipeline, and Walked On, just all these kind of instrumental things. This gentleman named Tommy Gill, who has passed, really taught me my first couple guitar licks, uh, and sort of evolved that way. Back moving from West Virginia to Maryland, it was a completely different music atmosphere. And so back in the 60s, Motown was big. And a lot of the high school friends that I had they were into Motown. And really, Oaks in the Mist, as it was recorded, is not so kind of country. It's more like, it's got this kind of feel to it.
Right.
Recording I have done. So that changed. If I play it, it's got a bluegrass country kind of sound to it.
Right.
But I sort of slowed that down in the studio and did it like Try a Little Tenderness, real slow intro. So I kind of mixed it, but my friends encouraged me to start singing and listening more to soul music. And I was invited out, oddly enough, to do an audition. I was probably in maybe 10th grade. And I went out for this audition, and they had me sing a song called House of the Rising Sun.
Oh yeah! Wow.
And they didn't like me. The drummer for that band, Barry Brandt, he went on to become in a band called Angel with Punky Meadows, and they were a glam rock band.
Oh.
So today I go, hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
And that was my first kind of audition. Excuse me. And after I started settling into the Motown soul thing, I became addicted to Otis Redding, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke. And then as I evolved into that, loving it, it absorbed it. My soul just answered it. Ray Charles would just make me cry. So I'm thinking, dang, I love this stuff. And then as I came to meet more people, great players in my life that I still feel so honored and blessed to have met, were teaching me a little bit of things here and there. And then I was asked to join a band around 14, somewhere in that area.
Right.
And they were soul music. It was a horn band called the Varcells.
Right. The Varsells.
Yeah, the Varsells, and I was just a backup singer.
Right.
But I was still listening to Otis and Ray and all these other wonderful Levi Stubbs, the Four Tops, just
Sure.
Awesome people. And so the band actually came to me and said, "We want you to be the lead singer." I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Oh, so that was your first lead singing experience?
Yes.
Wow.
So I became the lead singer, and the other two guys, we had our white brocade, and the band had green brocade, and that lasted. We went through the late end of the '60s through the riots.
Yeah, I wanted to hear that story. That's pretty interesting. You were you were going to go play somewhere? Or what was the story in a nutshell for that one? That's amazing.
Well, we were just asked to go play and give relief one night to the National Guard, who were, I guess, protecting what they could at DC. So the Army and they followed us in. We were in a van. They followed us down to Spingar High School. We sat up and played for the National Guard. These guys were actually in the auditorium with their rifles, dancing, and yeah, it was pretty. And buildings were burning, cars were burning.
Oh, yeah, I mean, DC got hit as hard as any city, almost, for sure. I know that had to be intense. So the Varsells seemed to kick things into gear for you. You went to Florida, and I love this. Played for the Kathy Cahill band, and she was a Dean Martin. I love you called her a Dean Martin gold digger.
She was a gold dancer.
Yes, the dancer.
Yeah. And I looked her up, and she's there. Her name was Kathy Cahill, Cahill, and she wanted to put together a band. The oddity of this whole story, and I'll make it quick, is that her husband, Tim Chaney, as I'm told, was Lon Chaney's son.
Oh my God.
Therein. And he came to me, and I'm like young. I'm in Florida. I don't know much. I got one guitar, my wife and my son, and we're living outside of Fort Lauderdale in a little place called Sunrise. And so he came to me. I had a job as a caretaker. I was taking care of 40 acres in Plantation, Florida, for the gentleman that owned the La Fontaine Blue. His last name was Reuben. And he hired me as the caretaker, and I took care of the horses, cut the grass, the pool, just the works as a caretaker would do. And in that period, I was asked to put together a band for Kathy. And I did. Amazingly enough, and we would travel across Alligator Alley and play big mamas in Naples and just around, and that lasted for a year or two, and then I'm back in Maryland.
Well, and then we're recording this show. This will air a few days after the New Year's begun, but we're recording it on New Year's Eve. You played a New Year's Eve gig in Jupiter. Was that a Burt Reynolds party? What was that?
Well, that's what I remember from this whole deal. It was so short lived that I guess my mind takes the real vibrant parts of the past. Yeah, we went to Jupiter, Florida. I was told at the time it was Burt Reynolds' party. I have a few pictures. Amazingly enough, they hired me to sing during. She would only come out and do a few songs, and then they hired me to play like this string machine, and I played by ear. I couldn't read, and congas, and then fill in with a few guitar acoustic things with the band. It was short lived, but it was memorable. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, it really does sound it. That's fun. Came back to Maryland, and you joined Barrel House. What was Mike and Steve Dennis and John Curlin, Guy Dorsey, and what was that for you as your musical development? How did that fit into this kind of ascending musical career you were starting?
Well, I resettled and I moved around a little bit, trying to find my groove. I ended up in Kensington, Maryland, and hooked up with Mike Dennis. I lived across the street from Mike. He lived at his grandmother's, and I just for a short period of time I was involved with Mike Dennis and Stuart Smith in the basement all day long, honing his things. And till this day, it came. I wish I had a little bit of that, but Mike taught me a lot. He turned me onto the blues, and he was and still is awesome at slide, and he just knew the blues, the blues, not rhythm and blues, but the hardcore blues stuff. And we did that for a while. No horns, some harmonicas would float in and out. But what a great period.
Yeah, that sounds like that was a 70s band for you, right?
Yeah.
As you got towards the end of the 70s, when did you meet the guy that would pretty much change your life in a lot of ways at that moment, Rusty Bogart, who ended up naming the band after you? How did the Recliners begin in around 1979?
I answered an ad once again. There was someone, I believe, to the best of my recall, they were auditioning singers. I went to Virginia. He had already had an idea, and they hired me. So we had the Recliners. They were juggling names, and he finally said, "Let's call it Junior Cline and The Recliners." And at that point, I was too really young to even care. And that's
well,
how
that's pretty major, dude. I mean, wow, they want to name a band after you. God, that's.
I think I've been running from that middle name for quite a long time because it was always Daryl Cline Jr. People always misspelled it, or it was Jr.
Well, I asked you the same questions too. I was like, when I was like, Jr. Junior. I want to get this right, but what a neat thing that they trusted enough though in you. I mean, again, you had to have something that Rusty and Barry Foley and all those those guys thought that was worthy of having a band named after you. And the band members that were at the beginning of this journey with the Recliners, a lot of those guys are still there, if not all of them. When you gather sometime this summer, or hopefully in the fall at the latest, and it's back to Daryl, Cline and the Recliners, Junior Cline. Amazing that those guys have hung through. I mean, you've had an incredible array of people filling in, and you gave me the list, and God, so many people that I have had on the show and know well. But wow, what an amazing thing to be able to kind of. Why do you think the resilience has lasted that long?
I just think they have great tolerance. I think if you pick the right mode, the right genre for what suits you and what you love, it's contagious. It gives people, people can pick what they want to hear in life musically, and they go with it. It's just that dance music thing. It's fun. It's fun for keyboard players. It's fun for guitar players. Horns love it. And obviously the ultimate decision is to the fans, a credit to them is they kept it going. If there was no desire to have it, who knows, I might be cooking somewhere. It turns out we picked that genre, the Blue Eye Soul, never crossed my mind. I just love singing it. But we have labeled it that. You got Daryl Hall and Billy Price's, and you got all these people doing it. I never considered anything. I just thought, I love this music. And yeah, it turned to be a unique thing because it's a white guy singing all black music.
Right.
And musicians, you get great people playing behind that. Not to soft cushion myself or anything, but it doesn't take a whole lot of vocals to push it. It's the horns and the great players behind it, and I've been really blessed. I've been blessed.
Yeah, your buddy Tommy Lepson falls into that category too. I mean, the same kind of that R&B soul feel that kind of comes in is in his bones like you, and he's able to get guys behind him and do it up. We've got just a wonderful few clips that kind of tell the early story of the Recliners, and I've just had a blast. I got to tell you, as a music fan and as an admirer of you for a long time, to be able to kind of pick and choose through these. The first one is ladies and gentlemen, as some of these, Daryl has said, some of these are exclusive debuts in some ways or rarities. This is a piece of a show that Daryl can elaborate on. It was at Columbia Station on New Year's Eve, another New Year's Eve. There seems to be a thread with New Year's
sure what that's about. Yeah,
recording it on New Year's Eve, but this is a Four Tops medley you guys did, and this is one of the first live recordings ever. Anything stand out about that gig that night?
No, I just actually heard it for the first time in 40 years.
Right.
Today. So
spectacular. Well, this is a little bit of a snippet of a clip of the audio from that show. It's a Four Tops medley that Daryl and the Recliners were doing, and this is a little snippet of "Baby, I Need Your Lovin'."
Oh my goodness.
Now we're gonna do some four tops for you. So get right back up there and shake a change in your pocket on this song.
Another day, another night. I long for the time. Girl, I'm home now. Baby, I need your love. I need your loving. You have all your loving. Baby, I need your loving. You have all your loving. Take it to sign of weakness. One man got to beg. The way I would rather be, girl. If that means I do hit a key. But let that I can lose you sleep now. Baby, I need your loving. Got to have all your loving. Baby, I need your loving. Got to have all your loving.
Yeah, Daryl, you could tell. In '81, as you'd been going for, gosh, not that long with this kind of band and really starting to find this major niche for your musical career. And you can tell that soul of the Four Tops was inside you, can't you? You can feel it when you sing it.
Yeah, to this day, I'm still amazed. Honestly, who would have thought? Being from the Appalachian Mountains and loving that kind of thing, man. It's just, it's church to me. I'll tell you.
I love it. I listened to most of that. There's 4 songs on the clip you gave me. I'm like, wow, man, I get a bonus. And yeah, it's some beautiful stuff. This is a clip that I love. And it's from a Baltimore TV show called Shakedown. It was in the 80s. It was very Soul Trainish or American Bandstandish, where you had the host sitting in the audience and usually a lot of pretty girls around him, and then the guys are buried in the back. And I think in this clip, the guy even says, "Hey, there's a love connection over here." A really cute clip. But I love the way you guys sound. I mean, tight as hell. You've been going for about 6 years. You're in a showcased place. Anything about this TV show that comes to mind? I mean, how did you get booked for that?
Honestly, I remember Arch Campbell's show. Arch did that was a memorable moment because of what took place then. But I don't have much recall about the show.
Right.
I booked the band, managed the band, and I never had anybody doing it. So there's a lot of info there that sort of collective pull from, and it's some stuff I just don't recall.
Oh, no worries. Arch Campbell is my former coworker too. At Channel 4. This is a great clip of Daryl Jr. Cline and The Recliners, again, up in a Baltimore TV show called Shakedown, playing a little Falling Fools.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Not only do we qualify as a dance show, but we're also moving in on the love connection. We have our own right here. Okay, right now it's about time for us to introduce a group that's been big in the Baltimore area over the last few years. You've all heard of them. It's Junior Cline and The Recliners. Make them feel well.
I love you, girl, such a long, long time. And now you say you're gonna leave me. What about all the plans we made? Don't tell me you throw them all away. While the fools fall in love, girl, and break each other's heart. While the fools fall in love, girl, just to fall apart. Just to fall apart. strong enough, girl, to lead my own way. I'm a man that's learned this lesson. Someday, girl, you're gonna pay why the fools fall in love, girl, and break each other's heart. Why the fools fall in love, girl, just to fall apart, just to fall apart. Oh.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It seems to again begin to show what your strengths are going to be as you're going along as a singer and as the head of this band. The next year, you played one of your favorite clubs of the time that you and I talked about, the Roxy in DC. This is one really fun clip, and for me, so fun to see all these people that I know well now and have been on the show playing with you back then, looking like they're having a blast in the beginnings of their, largely in a lot of the early parts of their musical career. Bill Starks, who comes in as Willie Rivers, and plays. You've got the amazing horn guys you play with. You got Greg Harden, who just seems to be all around everybody that I've had on. And then the wonderful Patty Reese comes on and plays. You start, though, Daryl, with this song, Crosscut Saw, which is a classic. And you have a little tasty guitar work at the top. When did your guitar work start to kind of come around for you? Early on, or to develop over the years? I know you've had other guitarists play in the band that are centered guitarists and not singers like you. How did guitar come along?
I'll tell you, Rusty Bogart, who started this, went and got me a guitar. He got me a 1966 Stratocaster Sunburst guitar. He's an awesome guy. And I sort of thought, what the heck? I got this beautiful guitar. So I call myself a noodler because I always make sure I got somebody that knows theory and charts and reads behind me. And I just started picking it, noodling, and evolved into, just playing whatever I wanted. Not out of disrespect for anybody else, but just
right
when the mood struck, I jumped on it.
Yeah, and it seems when you play, you've got these incredible guitarists behind you that just are spectacular, and they'll launch into these solos like Dan Hovey on here and stuff. But boy, you started out with some tasty licks. Let's go to the Roxy in 1986 for a second. A little tasty guitar riffs at the beginning of this song, Crosscut Saw. Yeah, some tasty licks. You can see you definitely got a knowledge of playing that. How did your guitar work develop over the years? Did you continue to be what you just kind of described earlier as kind of a noodler of sorts, but learning a little bit more as you went along? Because you could tell you know how to play damn well. You could tell it earlier on the acoustic song. And
I really well, I would steal some stuff. The influences of the early guys like Tommy Gill, Mike Dennis, Stuart Smith. I've always admired Nils Lofgren, Paul Bell. Just a little bit of stuff. I would go home and listen to something that Paul Bell would do and go, "How did you do that?" And then occasionally I would ask him. He played on, and then I would just incorporate those little 2 or 3 lick notes into a solo, and it's all made up. Nothing's planned. It's all by feel. And so, yeah, I've had the people that I just can't even imagine how I ended up in such a great position of being able to play with these phenomenal artists. I've just been blessed, truly been blessed.
It is. It's a tremendous array of people that you've gotten the chance to do this with, and we'll continue to play it with. This clip could be one of my favorites that I've aired on any show that I've done in 10 months on Living on Music. This is featuring obviously Daryl and his amazing recliners, but also Bill Starks, who again is one of the most versatile musicians this area has ever seen, and my former TV colleague for 25 years, and also Greg Harden, again, one of the mainstays of Bandhouse gigs and an incredible player himself, and the wonderful, beautiful Patty Reese, so talented. And this is so fun. Everybody jumping in on, of course, a song that everybody knows, and you can sing along with these guys from 1986 here at the Roxy with Twist and Shout.
Right here. Other song. Think American. 1, 2. Well, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby. Come on and work it on out. Work it on out. Yeah, work it on out. Work it on out. You know you look so good. You look so good. You know you got me going, baby. Got me going. Just like I knew you would. I knew you would. Yeah, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on and work it on out. Work it on out. Yeah, with little girl. You twist it, little girl. You know you look so fine. You twist so fine. Come on and twist a little closer, baby. And let me know that you're mine. You're mine.
Oh God. When I first saw that clip and I'm like, wait, that's Patty, that's Bill, that's Dick. I mean, it's like and Greg, it's just such a wonderful thing to see all you guys, because that collaboration has lasted for decades.
Yeah.
And, you guys could walk into a room tomorrow, and it's the same thing with Billy Coulter and all these other people that I've had on recently who, he just did a porch show with Ruthie Logsdon and Arch Alcantara. I mean, everybody continues to work with each other through these years. It must be just wonderful to look at that clip for you and then know that you guys have lasted so long.
What is amazing, and I've been aware of this for a while, is this area has so much talent, and it's so tight. I've had some troubles in my life, and this community came and pulled my butt out of the gutters. And I'll tell you what, aside from all the faith and hope that this area has for each other, the musicians are, where did they come from? I think they just kind of dropped out of whoop, and they landed right in the DMV.
Right.
There's just so many great, the list of how many great people, as you know, come from this area. I was always told, go to Nashville. I never wanted to go to Nashville. I never wanted to be a star.
Right.
But here we all are together. It's just incredible. It's
Well, and
great.
how everybody just brings out the glory in each other too. You guys just do. And I knew that there was a lot of great music around here, but I never had the sense of it as I have now. Well, in 1992, you look at the club behind me, everybody. This is the 8x10 in Baltimore, a club, Daryl, that you loved playing back in the day, and you were also very complimentary of the way a lot of those clubs kind of helped people kind of get along when they were playing.
Well, the 8x10, when the recliners were really at that one, PowerPoints in this band over 40 years, it's been comes and goes, but the 8x10 was another place you couldn't get into when the recliners played. We just, even at the Roxy, there were, I think one of my greatest thrills was running from one of my gigs up to the Roxy at the time. Shows you how the 8x10 and the Roxy were, and there was a line to get in for this recording thing. And then one night I met Delbert McClinton outside the Roxy, and there was nobody in the club, but he was doing the same songs I was doing. Shaky Ground, Temptations, and he covered it and put it on the CD. And the 8x10, same thing. And they didn't hear this music. It was like it was our own music. Shaky Ground with the Recliners version. People didn't know. They just knew they loved it, and they slammed on it, and they danced. And that's why.
Isn't that is it, man? To be able to take music like that and make it your own is such a compliment to you. Well, let's go back to the 8x10. This is 1992, as I said, with the amazing Alana Shore and friends standing on shaky ground. Yeah, that looked like it was a kick-ass night at the old 8x10. Packed house and like a huge crowd on stage. Yeah, you guys sounds like you ripped that up. Well, that was the beginning. That was 30, 40 years ago at least. This has continued, and what that means is that it is a testimony to you and a testimony to those musicians that you've kept with and stayed with and been able to endure with. And ups, downs of life, we've all had them, and you've managed to get through 7 albums or so, still carrying on. Such an amazing ride for you, playing gigs from, again, New York all the way down to Florida and out into the mid-Atlantic, et cetera. You've also shared the stage with some incredible people, the Tina Turners, the Wilson Pickett's, the Bo Diddleys. Any anecdotes just in general how it was to be around those people?
Yeah, well, to jump on the New Year's Eve thing, a very good friend, someone I care so much about, I love him. His name is Dan Flannery. He worked for the Marriott in Gaithersburg and moved to New York and became a very important person for Marriott Corporation, and to this day still is. He came up with the idea of New Year's Eve, and that evolved into one of the greatest, I say, gigs the band ever played. I do remember a little anecdote about Wilson Pickett. We were there for his sound check, and he, after we played our set, he wanted to talk to me, and he told his roadie guy, ballet, whatever, that Wilson Pickett wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh God. So I go in, and he said, come on in here. He's got this seal fur jacket on. He's short, like me. And he said, I thought you were like Wilson Pickett. And I'm like, I do. I didn't hear you play no Wilson Pickett. And I said, I'm not going to do Wilson Pickett when he's right here in the house, man. And he was just, he was, I have a lot of stories, but that was one I remember. So it was like, uh-oh, he wants to talk to me. Sam and Dave, they were great stories too. But yeah, I pursued some of these concerts. Actually, had a lot to do with putting them together because I wanted it so bad. The psychedelia in particular, I wanted Sam and Dave. So Lou, back in the day, I wanted to have Sam and Dave come in and have the Recliners, and they came. I think we did 2 or 3 shows there with them.
Wow.
Blown away, just blown away. I was just awestruck. I could not believe it that Sam and Dave were right there, and I got to hang with them. You know, go to the dressing room, and HFS was right across the street. But wow, what a just the music was just phenomenal.
Oh, I
Sam,
bet. And to be around those folks is amazing. Yeah.
well, Sam
you were
Moore's still,
going to say something?
Sam Moore's still in Nashville. Obviously, Dave Pratt had passed away, but yeah, those are incredible times.
Yeah, they really are. In the mid-90s, Junior Cline and the Recliners is asked to play the White House at I think it was an ASCAP event with the Clintons or something to that effect. Something changed the course of the evening, the weather. Talk a little bit about that night, and then who you ended up kind of rubbing elbows with for a while, which is some of my favorite people in the history of music, the Muscle Shoals guys.
Well, they had the green room or the tent for the musicians. And as they came on and off stage, they would hang out in this one particular tent, and that's where the band was. And so during the breaks, we would have Donald Duck Dunn, Steve Cropper. It's still like a dream. Lyle Lovett on stage. He was actually, I think he just married Julie Roberts at that point in time. And yeah, it was incredible, just incredible. And so I'm kind of shy about autographs. I don't ask people too often, but the sax player went and had the not the menu, but the events sheet that night signed.
Sure.
It was White House paper, very fancy. I have it somewhere, signed by Steve Cropper and Donald Duck Dunn, and just off the hook stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. And there was something with rain that kind of postponed or cut off the end of the show.
Well, it started raining early in that day, and by the time 9-10 o'clock rolled around, it started showing. They had actually put down plastic covering on the grass at the south lawn and the tables, and the president was right there with his wife and all his guests, and it just kept getting deeper and deeper. The water wasn't sinking. It was being held up above ground. And by the time the show ended, it was just, they were sitting in water. But nevertheless, it had to be, the plug got pulled. We didn't get to play, but I'm really glad we did.
Right.
Who the hell can follow a show like that?
Right.
I'm glad we didn't get to play. I'm really glad. Thank you, Steve Cropper, Donald Duck Dunn. Oh my God. I later on became hooked up with Eddie Hinton, who is Muscle Shoals all the way. He went on the road a little bit. David Hood, Roger. Just other great drummers and bass players. I'm still touching myself to this day. How? Because they are the kings of soul music. I mean, the Muscle Shoals. So yeah,
they are. They are central to so much of the music of that era. And I had an experience working as a production assistant for the Concert of the Century at the White House with the Clintons. And my biggest memory is hugging Al Green in the middle of a tent after he came off stage after doing Change Is Gonna Come, and I'm like that just, and I've met so many people since then, and musicians as a music writer and things like that, and there's just not much that'll beat.
Well, you were talking about
Al Green.
You changed forever, brother.
I know.
How good the preach and touch you is. You've been right ever since.
Yeah, he had a gold lame suit on, and his family was standing there, and I walked by, and I'm like, Al, and he goes, hey, and hugged me, and I'm like, oh, and that's a whole show I should do on what happened, meeting people like John Fogerty, Eric. I went to the bathroom, and Eric Clapton was going to the bathroom, and and waited, of course, till he came out and met him and Sheryl Crow, and I met the president at about midnight. So that's a whole nother show.
That's great.
You had some, as the Recliners were churning along and continuing to do gigs. You had some wonderful side projects, and boy, is the music in these projects just fabulous. There was one in the mid-90s called Caravan. This featured, again, some of these amazing people we've talked about several times in this show, let alone I've had on my show, like Tommy Lepson and Bill Starks, and also wonderful Marianne Redmond. I'm trying to get Marianne on hopefully sometime in 2021. Andy Shriver, Greg Harden, Joe Romero, Paul Bell, and Mike Cotter. This was Caravan. How did this come about? Before we hear a clip of a wonderful song, what was the impetus behind Caravan?
I think it was, I thought that it would be a great thing to have this band that had all these great players. Jeff Watson was the one person he had something going on. I wanted to have him in it because I admired Mike Cotter and Tommy Lepson and Jeff Watson, and then Marianne Redmond. You know, got to have the girl, man. She's off the hook anyway. And I just recently, Steve, just a few days ago, listened to Marianne and Paul Bell and Andy Shriver, and you know, she's got the, you know how Marianne's got that voice. I'm like, I'm the only one that's got this. Ain't nobody got it but me. And I'm just blown away. Just
wow.
How did that happen again? It's really, it'll humble you when you get around people like this. And I just felt like it would be a great thing to put together something like this. And it ended up working out really well. It was, people loved it. The good thing was I got to pick a good amount of the songs. Of course, they picked what they wanted to, and it worked out. It worked out. It was great.
Did you do live shows and things like that for a while, or how long was this particular ensemble together?
For 2 years, we worked some clubs, always packed, great clubs, State Theater, Fager's Island, the Anna Tap Room, and the same list. While all this was going on, I was still doing Recliners gigs, but just to be involved in Caravan, I stole the name from a Van Morrison song, obviously, but it just seemed, I went and had an artist draw up a little. I had this idea of an ant caravan carrying a guitar, and this wonderful artist Jim Haynes, he's been doing artwork, and him and Dick Bangham pretty much covered a lot of my musical ideas, and that's how it came about. This was a thought.
It is some wonderful stuff. Well, here's a little clip of a song, little audio. Sit back and take in some of Caravan, and this is a little clip of I Take What I Want.
Come on, do what you want. I take what I want. I'm a black Ophelia. I'm never a loser, and I'm never gonna quit you, girl. I'm loving girl.
Oh yeah, man, tight as a knit. That is just beautiful. Talk a little bit about kind of the collaboration between you guys for Caravan.
So when I came up with an idea to seek out these people, the greats of the area, I thought, well, you better have a plan. So I thought out some of the songs and how would they work with this kind of setup. And it was about trading off lines. And so we kind of broke up the parts, everybody's input. And so we would take a song like I Take What I Want and break up those parts so everybody got to share in the vocals. And then that would all collaborate into one song. And we did that for a lot of the material for Caravan, with Marianne sing a lead and having us sing backup and Tommy sing lead. So there was always backup support and everybody got their time to sing lead.
In 2001, obviously the year of 9/11, which hit us all so hard. There's a lot of music that came out of that. I'm a huge Springsteen fan. Obviously, The Rising is all about it. There's a lot of songs and expressions that came out of it. And this came out, you had started writing some music, and it evolved into a tribute to 9/11 and then into an album of other songs with some of our popular players. Talk about the evolution of the 9/11 song and then the whole music around it.
I had written a song quite some time before 9/11 for a friend that had passed, that played with the Recliners, Bob Martin, titled Give Them Wings, but hadn't released it yet. I was still formulating the CD. And then when 9/11 happened, I thought that would be a good song to sort of have the local community come in and be a part of. And as it worked out, it worked. We got a lot of people involved to go into. Ed Peterson from Omega was a wonderful part of that. He donated a lot of time and space, and it was covered by Channel 4 and all the local news stations. And it raised, a few pennies for those that needed it, but everyone gave their time and effort on that one song. And I'm actually proud of the way it all came out. It would have been a single vocal song had not been for 9/11, as tragic as that whole thing was. But we did a good thing. So
yeah, you did. It's a beautiful collaborative thing. It reminded me a little bit of We Are the World, or if Do They Know It's Christmas? It's one of those incredible collaborations of people when some crisis or some charity or philanthropic thing's coming. Let's take a little bit of a clip, a look at a little bit of a snippet of this beautiful thing Daryl did to tribute 9/11 called Give Them Wings.
Clouds. Not a day goes by, not a nighttime falls that I don't think of you somehow. Oh, that I don't think of you somehow. And I still cling to your coat that hangs in the closet by the stairs. Old photographs, the leftover shoes. Well, there's signs of you everywhere. Oh, there's signs of you everywhere. And when that phone whistle blows, somewhere up in the night, it's just another angel that's on her wings, yeah. So give her wings so she can fly. Oh yeah, let's give them wings so they can fly.
Yeah, you see the skyline of the Big Apple, and I swear it makes anytime that those numbers 9/11 come up, it makes you think. Beautiful job, Daryl. That is something special. So "Give Them Wings" was a song that you had written for a possible collection of music, and then you did a CD, or at least you wrote a bunch of songs for a CD with some of those old players again. Your amazing guys like Tommy and Mike and Jeff.
Yeah. So there was no title for that particular CD, and there wasn't any artwork. And then I just had this thought: let's do this kind of a thing. Let's have a guy sitting playing sax on a tree overlooking this valley. Called my friend Jim Haynes up. He put it into watercolors, and I thought, what the heck? It's a great title for a CD. And I had recorded a bunch of songs I had written with Tommy and Mike and Jeff Watson and various other people, and that had not been released yet. So we just took the 9/11 idea and used "Give Them Wings" as a way to raise a small amount of funds, and then it is included on the CD that was released called Wings. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the song that I love from this that I've chosen to play a clip of, "I Promise You This,"
Yeah.
that is a beautiful song. It really, your strengths are multi faceted, but again, a lot of that stuff, that R&B and soul feel. This is a singer-songwriter gem. How did you come up? What was the story behind this song? Was there one?
Yeah, there was one. I had a good friend who had been in an accident on 695 in Baltimore. His name was Danny, and he rolled his truck and passed away. And his wife called and said, she said that line, "Wherever you are, wherever you've gone, you'll take my heart along." And I thought, wow. So I pretty much wrote that song for her and her family and her husband. Yeah, we're still in touch to this day. Kathy Doxson and her husband, he rolled his truck, passed away. I wrote a song.
Oh God, man! Wow, that the song was amazing enough, and I didn't know the story, and now I do, and it'll ring true. This is part of this beautiful song from the "Give Them Wings" CD. Daryl Jr. Cline. This is "I Promise You This."
Wherever you are, wherever you've gone, I promise you this: you've taken my heart along. And how was I to know that there'd be stones in the road? You say you want your whole life back. Now, girl, I can help you with that. Give you love, faith, forgiveness and understanding. Love, faith, forgiveness. I promise you this.
Well, in the last 10 years, the Recliners have still been obviously active, which is incredible. You've kept that amazing thing going. You did Oaks in the Mist, as we talked a little bit about earlier. That was kind of a short-lived but neat experience, right? Both an acoustic and electric kind of thing.
Yeah. So, as a writer, I love writing. I don't have to pay a psychiatrist or a therapist every day. Just write. So I wrote a lot of songs that weren't really Recliner stuff. I tried some of the material with horns, but I think some of my recent writings require less. So Oaks in the Mist is a prime example. It was just a very simple song. Of course, as I normally do, I overkill it with horns, organs, pianos, backup singers. But as I say these days, I go easy. as I grow old, I grow easy. You know, I mean, just I don't have to beat myself up to have it overproduced. I'm not Phil Spector or any of that. You know, I'm just keep it simple, and that's pretty much the way I'm going.
That's great. That's neat too. You again doing another side project though. It was wonderful to be able to kind of experiment, see what feels. It's so cool. When was your first? So many people who've been on the show. I had the again distinct joy in doing two Bandhouse gig shows. The David Bowie show at the Fillmore and the Elvis Costello tribute at the Barnes. For a midlife career band, cover band guy like me to be able to be asked by Ronnie Newmeyer to do his show. I'm not a career musician like you guys. Been singing for about 15 years. True amazing experience, as you well know. What was your first Bandhouse gig / Newmeyer Flower show?
My first one, as I recall, was at the Strathmore, and it was a Neil Young tribute.
Oh yeah,
Ronnie might have a better remembrance than that, but
I think Billy Coulter brought that up, Daryl, and he said that was the first one he'd ever seen, and he was mind blown by it. So that's so again, everybody crossing kind of threads a little bit, yeah.
You know, and once again, you have to remember, yeah, I love music, all sorts. I didn't know Neil Young. Yeah, I know Nils Lofgren played with Neil Young, but I wasn't very versed. But when Ronnie Newmeyer asked me to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm there for it. He's been there for me, and yeah, that's the way it works. They're doing great stuff. You're doing great stuff. Look, this is how it works. Steve Houk, Ronnie Newmeyer, Chuck, all these great Bandhouse, Newmeyer Flower stuff. This keeps us going. You know, I'm grateful to have you people in my life.
Well, thank you. Everybody feels the same about you, I am sure. And what we're going to do is delve in a little bit. This is a great clip of, I just mentioned I got to do this at the Barnes. Daryl's been at the Barnes many times, I'm sure. This is a great Rod Stewart tribute gig that the Bandhouse gigs put on. And this is a little clip of a great tune. People get ready.
Get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need a ticket, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need a ticket, you just thank the Lord. Yeah, for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key. Open the doors and call them. No room amongst us for the love the most. For the hopeless sinner who hurts all mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances grow thinner. There's no hiding place from the kingdom throne. So people get ready for a train a-coming. No hiding place, you just get on board. All you need is faith for the hopeless sinner. Don't need no ticket, you just get on board. Hey now, all you need.
There's a train a coming. I just, yeah, you did a beautiful job on that. And boy, you look around at the musicians around you and incredible stuff. When about a year later after that gig, you did another Ronnie Newmeyer production. And this was, I believe, one of his first, if not his first, Newmeyer Flyer gig. It was the Dream Discs Moon Dance, and I believe Wild and the Innocent and the E Street Shuffle might have been the other one in this, but I'm not sure because I know Billy was on and he sang Rosalita, I thought, from that same gig. You loved Van Morrison since you were younger, and to be able to sing in a tribute to him, like Billy did for Dylan, and like I did for Bowie. It's just such a huge thrill to sing that kind of music when it's a tribute. How did that come about? That Ronnie said, "Come on and do some Van."
Just like that, Ronnie said that. He knows me because he played with me, and I've known him 40 years. So when he asked me I thought, oh my God, great, Van Morrison, I got this. Because the ones before, the Neil Young and a few others, not so much. I wasn't that familiar. I had to learn that stuff and sit down and do it. But when he did the Rod Stewart and the Van Morrison, those were kind of a little more up my alley. And I was really glad when he picked the songs. Of course, Billy Coulter comes out with that Rosalita, I believe, Springsteen, and he blasted out of the room, which was great. He walks out in the crowd. And I'm thinking, how come I didn't get no Springsteen song? But it's all good because I love Van Morrison.
Right,
and
right.
It worked out well.
Yeah, he said he disappeared with that wireless mic, and the guys on the stage were like, "Where the hell did he go?" We're like, and then he's up there doing "I know your mama, she don't like me." Yeah, that's great. Here's a great clip of Daryl doing one of Van's most wonderful songs, and this really fits you real well. It was a great choice to have you do this, especially the way it kicks right off. This is Van Morrison's Caravan.
Well, the caravan is on its way. I can hear the merry gypsies play. Mama, look at Emma Rose. She's out playing with the radio. Sha la 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 la. Give me that. Carries all my friends. It will stay with me until the very end. Gypsy Robert, sweet Emma Rose, tell me everything that I need to know. Sha la 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 la. Sha. Turn up your radio and let me hear sing my song. Switch on your electric lights, then we can get down to what is really, really wrong. I long just to hold you tight, so I can feel you, sweet lady of the night. I shall reveal you. Turn it up, a little bit higher. You got soul. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, so you know radio. Sha la 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 la. Sha la 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 la.
Yeah, well, see, Ronnie knows what he's doing, picking the right people to sing, and I again, I loved when, because it's the same show. I bring it up again when Billy was talking about doing the Springsteen show, and Ronnie, he said he'd love to do Kitty's Back or some other song on the record, and Ronnie said, "What about Rosalita?" And he was
Yeah.
like, "What?" Inside he's like a little kid on Christmas. He's like, "Oh my God!" But that's the way Ronnie and Chuck and Newmeyer and Bandhouse gigs, that's what they do to you. They just you just get so incredibly moved by what they've been doing, and I know you feel the same. You recorded an album about 20 years ago or so, with some incredible people, including Danny Gatton was on it. Some of the music that he played for you, it, I guess, sat waiting or hanging for a while, and then was recently released not too long ago, called Anywhere the Wind Blows, with some incredible songs on here. How did that go? And as so many people have done on my show and do all the time, and when they're talking about music, they talk about Danny, because he was such a special musician for this area and everything. Talk a little bit about the evolution of Anywhere the Wind Blows.
Well, it just was another thing. I was working with Gant Kushner at Gizmo Studios. He's a great guitarist and a great friend.
Sure is.
And I've been fortunate enough, whenever I have written something, be able to go into the studio and record it, financially be able to do it, and also have the players. These guys come in. It's not like I'm, let's pay everybody $10,000. I don't have a record company behind me. So I just stored all these songs, and I simply asked people like Danny to come in, and he did. Mike Aldridge. I mean, the list goes on. Danny struck me as like, I've talked to Danny a few times before. I'd been to his house with Mike Dennis, and I knew of him, but he came into the studio, and being the Hummer that he is, he goes, "Oh my God, he's got his carry-out food from Roy Rogers and his Heineken, and he's sitting there eating. He goes, 'Oh my God!' And I just like, 'Is everything cool?' And he goes, 'No, I'm playing for the Junior Cline.' I'm like,
Yeah.
This is Danny. So this is how that sort of steamrolled into. He liked one of the songs called "Young Lovers," which didn't come out as well as I wanted it to, but he's playing on a few of the songs. I just took my vocals out and said, just let Gatton play. So I included a couple of instrumental versions of the songs without the vocals. He's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he really is. I went through all these songs, and I'm like, what the heck? How am I going to play one clip of one of these songs? They're so great. But I picked one that seems to fit you a little bit. It's got this kind of R&B soul thing going, and also just a little bit of blues in it. It's just great. This is a song from Anywhere the Wind Blows from Daryl Jr., Cline, and Danny Gatton, Greg Harden, Gant Kushner, Mike Aldridge, and Buddy Griffin. This is Easy Street.
On the easy street, baby, easy street now. Standing on a mountain, looking down, not faced with decisions. They've all been made. I'm on the easy street, baby, everything's okay. On the easy street, honey, easy street now. I'm way up high, watching the crowd, don't worry about redemption. I try to be a good man, riding on the easy to the promised land, singing glory, hallelujah, I shall be released. Amazing grace, how sweet it used to be. Take me up to heaven, all the deeds I've done, riding on the easy to the great beyond.
Yeah, some great sounds, man, from that song. I love it. And what an incredible cast, including Danny and Gant and Mike and everybody. Wow. Congratulations on doing that piece. As we come out of this, I know that you're going to be yearning to get the Recliners back up and playing, and we'll have no problem with that, I'm sure. We just got to hope all these venues kind of hold tight through the next few months again as this gets going. But you've got a number of things going on. You've got some music sitting there kind of waiting to be put together and released, stuff that you've done. And you've also put together, I'm sure a lot of your fans already know this, but the history of the Recliners, kind of a 5-edition set. Talk a little bit about that. And I know you have one already out.
Yeah, so I thought, you know what a long, these guys, the band is just amazing. And they put all this time in it. So I thought people really want to stay in touch with us. So I came up with the idea to release 40 years of the Recliners in a 5-stage, and we put this together, Teresa and I. So this is the first of a series. It's called The Early Years Volume 1. And it's live, all of it's live. Songs I can't even believe I was doing, like Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. And
Oh, God.
but just amazing. And it was done with great musicians, Mike Dennis and Greg, Bruce Swaim, and wow, John Lee from Australia. Rest your soul, John. Just great band members. So this would be the first one. And as we get some breathing room, we'll put out Volume 2. And hopefully a few people will be able to get it or download it. It's just about keeping people in touch with the Recliners.
That's great. Perfect thing to do. And I know that people hearing this, and also, knowing on your website and stuff that you got some music in the pocket that might come out over the next few months, maybe over the next year. That's kind of exciting too, to be able to have some stuff kind of in the can.
Yeah. So I was recording a CD I wanted to release once again with Gant Kushner at Gizmo. Got about 12, 13 songs down, new stuff I'd written, horns, and Corona came home and shut the doors. So that's sitting there. There's always something if I can get involved with. Life's that way for me, so I'm grateful.
I'm glad, man. Can't wait to hear some of that stuff when it comes out. Well, I can't think of a better way to pull a full circle on this show to have you play one more song for us, Daryl. Again, I think people are going to be thrilled to kind of get a little bit of more Daryl Cline in their blood. Going to pick up, as far as I can see, he's going to pick up the electric. So that's going to be exciting. And what are you going to close out with it for us, Daryl?
This is a new guitar, so I'm not real versed on it, but I'm going to play a song Joe Romero and I wrote, which people are familiar with, and it's called Run from the Blues. See, you got everything you need. See, you got everything that you need. Well, and girl, I got news. You can't always run from the blues. Well, there's things from your past you still trying to put behind. Well, there's things from your past you still trying to put behind. Well, and girl, I got news. You can't always run from the blues. Big fancy cars out of town and waiting in line so you can put them down. Telephone ringing right off the hook when it comes to breaking hearts. Girl, you got everything you want. You can't always run from the blues. Well, I see myself, what's happening here? All I can, and I've cried a million tears, taking everything. I got nothing left to lose. Well, and girl, I got news. You can't always run from the blues. Oh, and girl, I got news. You can't always run from the blues. And girl, I got news. You can't always run from the
Yeah, you can't always run from the blues. No, you can't. Daryl Jr. Cline, what a perfect exclamation point on this journey through your life. I hope you enjoyed the ride, my friend.
Thank you, Steve, so much. God bless you and continue the good work. We need you.
All right, man. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to have a blast in 2021. Hopefully do some shows in person so we don't have to do this on virtual, and I can have you play and we can really do it. But thanks so much for taking the time to walk down this path with me on Living on Music. I appreciate it so much, and best of luck to you during and after this thing, and keep bringing it joy to everybody, man, because that's what you do.
Well, Steve, thank you. And I'm going to praise my wife. She is, without Teresa, I don't think this would be happening. She has been the strength for me, and I love her so much, and my sons. So thank you, Steve, and thank you, Teresa, and love everybody. Stay strong, keep your faith. We'll get there, and it's going to be worth the wait.
You betcha, my man. Take care, and God bless. Be good.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, man. Yeah, again, it moves my soul to be able to have people like Daryl Jr. Cline on Living on Music. And it just continues to reinforce and point out in so many ways as we go along the collaborative, familial nature of music in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area and surrounding regions. The fact that Daryl has played with so many people that have been on this show, that also others that haven't been playing this area. He's just incredible. And again, Daryl Jr. Cline, love you, man. Thanks so much. Be safe and well. Coming up on Living on Music real quick, this Monday, a week from today, wow, Let's Go Blues. For 30 years, Linwood Taylor has been a Washington staple and veteran blues guitarist. Played with some of the likes of Albert Collins, Lonnie Mack, played with the Joe Louis Walker Band, accolades from the Washington Post magazine and Living Blues magazine. Can't wait to have Linwood on. He's also tied very closely to JV's, one of my favorite places on earth. Lorraine Campbell, the Queenie, I love you, and Judy Taylor, Linwood's wife, part of the institution that is JV's, among others like Lisa and Michael and other people. Love all you guys. Miss you to death. Really do. But Linwood, can't wait to have Linwood Taylor on January 11th, this next Monday on Living on Music. January 18th, one of the Nighthawks, was with him for 40 years. And from till 2004 has some amazing stories. Jan Zukowski, who also has played with Jimi Hendrix, Warren Haynes, played with the Allman Brothers on tour, even played at Live Aid. And we'll talk about how he did that, who he was playing bass for at Live Aid. But incredible to have one of the Nighthawks on, one of the premier bands this area has ever seen. And Jan was an instrumental part of it. What a bassist extraordinaire. And we got to have him on January 18th. January 25th, one of my buddies, my former neighbor, and one of the area's great singer-songwriters, Brian Frankie, used to 250 gigs a year. So he's been hurting during this last 10 months, but continuing to play when he can. He and Sarah, his wonderful wife, have their band Far Away, and also he plays tons of solo stuff. Did a great Creedence live show, virtual show the other night that I loved. But Brian's a real special guy. Can't wait to have him. He's going to play some music for us. His success as a musician lies in his ability to be versatile and supportive and respectful. And he's one of those really, really good guys and a great musician. And on February 1st, it's really hard to describe this guy, John Carroll. I mean, what an incredible honor it is to have John Carroll on. Of course, yes, he was in the Starland Vocal Band, the Grammy-winning band of the 70s with Afternoon Delight. But what an amazing career beyond that, across the spectrum, playing years with Mary Chapin Carpenter and a host of other musicians. He's one of the most respected guys around here. Also, of course, has played, like everybody else, he's played Newmeyer Flower Bandhouse gigs as well. And I am exceptionally happy to have the great John Carroll on February 1st. Coming up, obviously, in 2021 is more ZTV. We've got some amazing stuff going on, you guys, that has started to gain some real traction and momentum, and really love having people engage with us. And this includes Trash or Treasure with Monica Schiavo, which is our version of Antiques Roadshow. Just a great kind of adventure into, is it a trash or is it a treasure? Who knows? You also have things like Reading, Writing, and Ralph with Ralph Peluso. You've got the Wellness Wednesdays. Just some great stuff. Stay tuned to the Zebra on Facebook. That's what you got to do, is be sure to go to the Zebra on Facebook. It says Good News Zebra, Zebra Press. Click on there, join up, like it, join the group, join the page, and you'll get updates all the time for the shows. We're getting up towards 20,000 followers, so hopefully that'll continue through 2021. And also, we're open to new ideas for shows. So email the Zebra, email me on Facebook, find me, find Living on Music, find us. Go to the Zebra and post a suggestion or message us on ideas for shows in 2021, because we want to be sure that we're engaging with everybody out there, and I'm sure there are a lot of great ideas out there. Again, Lucilla Flaherty, Susan Fleischman, Kelly McConomy, my buddies on the Zebra, they're out there all the time, writing, shooting, doing things all over the area, especially Lucille, who's just an incredible force out in the Alexandria area and beyond, kind of reminding you of some incredible things. So that's ZTV also on Facebook. Please remember that the Living on Music is a production of the Zebra Press. We always thank David McClure for beginning this whole thing, and Laney Delaney as co-producer and editor of Living on Music, and does Trash or Treasure and a whole bunch of other stuff. Laney, we love you. Thanks so much. The December 2020 edition of the Zebra is still out, but the January one is just about here. So look in the next week or so for the release. Usually it's about at the 8th of the month for the Zebra. If you want to get it delivered to you in paper, which I love, started this morning with the Washington Post. Can't start any morning without some breakfast and a newspaper. You can get it delivered, so go to zebra.org and you can get a subscription to it. You can also find it all over Alexandria in the red boxes, and also at markets and outside restaurants and things like that. You can visit the Zebra, as I said, at zebra.org, and also on the Good News Zebra Press Facebook page. Next Monday, remember, you want some blues? You got it. There's nothing like the great Linwood Taylor, who will be my guest a week from today. Until then, Happy New Year, everybody. Yes, you are sitting in 2021 now. So 2020 is back. Again, there was joy in there. We found it. But for the most part, it's something that we'd like to put behind us, and hope 2021 gets everybody back to where they need to be. Happy, healthy, safe, and seeing live music again as well, and living on music. Once again, always remember, no matter where you are, be the good news in someone's life. Take care, everyone. Happy New Year.